Nerds are so sexy.
Hello, this is Wyldfyre1. Welcome again to Nerds the New Sexy. This is episode 43, and with me as always,
Sunrie. Bow down, stand up, kneel, don't give a shit. Hey, it's all good with me.
So before we get into a topic, I'm going to start this off with the Best of Craigslist by Lady Catherine. Here you go. Welcome to the Best of Craigslist as told by Lady Catherine.
This is Lady Catherine with human-sized steel cage. Whoever responds with the best potential use for this cage will get it free of charge. It is 6 foot 1 inch tall by 4 foot by 4 foot base. Welded steel, approximately 200 pounds. 2 people can easily move it. Pick up Saturday or Sunday in Jack London area. What is today's episode about?
Well, it is what has been called the Mandela effect, named after Nelson Mandela. So basically what it is, it's a collective memory many people have, and it's wrong. Either it never happened or the information is, just false. But a bunch of people remember the exact same thing across state lines, across nationalities, and they can all describe the exact same thing, the exact same event, but it never happened.
Oh yeah. It's I actually watched something recently about that on Brain Games, which is really interesting. It mentioned that the human mind can handle maybe 2 or 3 things at a time and store that information, as opposed to like the whole thing.
Just like most of the podcasts, I just remember I fapped.
Oh yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, the entire time.
Oh, that's cool. Fapping is good.
Somebody just came. It may have been me.
It was me.
Okay, good.
But anyway, speaking of the Mandela effect, did you guys notice that there was something maybe a little different with the opening?
Yeah, there seems to be something a little different about that opening. Now, is that a change, or has it always been like that? Now there's got to be a couple people that are scratching their brains and going back and they're going, wait a minute.
Yeah, clicking back to the beginning, like, wait, what happened? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's going to be some people who swear it's changed. There's going to be some people who swear it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll tell you at the end.
Yes.
And we'll tell you at the end.
So listen to the podcast all the way through. Don't cheat, fucker.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few examples of a card maneuver. Let's talk about a few of these examples. So go ahead.
Yeah. So basically how this came about is someone was at Dragon Con and they were talking, I will get you the name on here, talking to one of the security managers and the people who actually ran Dragon Con and stuff like that. And saying that they remember Nelson Mandela had died in a jail cell a very long time ago. I don't remember that. So I must be part of this dimension. And we'll get into all the theories and stuff that's going on with this.
The crazy dimensional theories, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I don't remember that. I've always known him to be a very controversial person, but basically that's what it is. And her name is Fiona Broom, and she actually runs the website mandalaeffect.com. I have to give a shout out to her because I was doing a lot of reading on her site before we did this, and just for more ideas of things to talk about. And there's some interesting things that I didn't think about that I realized that other people are like, oh no, it's different lists, and I kind of go, no, that's not right. I don't remember that myself. So they're talking about a bunch of people remembered the exact same events. People were writing stuff down and saying it was this is the date, this is the person who was doing the news report, and all the people who swore this happened came up with the same information independently. How weird is that? That is fucking weird.
It's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Now, how I heard about this was with the Berenstain Bears.
Oh yeah, that's one I think we can all actually agree upon.
Yeah, that was the first time I had heard about this, and for me, it has always been Berenstain with an A-I-N.
Well, it's always Berenstain for me. It wasn't Stain. I was always Berenstain for me. I've always known them as the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah, I remember you saying that because it's funny because I'm like, no, it's S-T-A-I-N. I remember, I know for a fact it was because the guy's name was Berenstain, and you're like, no, his last name was Steen. So
it's almost, and I'm going to attribute this to when you're young and it's it's definitely the Mandela effect. But when you're young, you say it so many times, you kind of brainwash it in your mind. So it's like if we called Sephiroth or something like that, or or even better, let's use Mako or Mako. However, Mako energy. You say it so much, that's how you know it. It could be mispronounced.
Yes. Yeah, and we called it Mako all the time because it was like a Mako shark. And I guess the correct pronunciation is Mako.
Yeah.
Thanks to Advent Children and Dirge Cerberus.
Yeah.
That's how I learned about
It's not that big a deal, but at the same time, like, you kind of instinctively, like, brainwash yourself into thinking this is how it's pronounced. This is how I say it. So Berenstain, growing up, hell, it might have been mispronounced by one of my parents reading to me as a kid, and it just stuck with me since. And I think that might be the case as well with everyone else. However, it's not Berenstain, it's Berenstain.
Yeah, at least here it is. Now, interesting enough, and me and Wild have a very personal one to discuss with you guys, and we'll get to that as well. So stick around. One of the ones I was interested in finding out was a bunch of people remember Luke, I am your father.
Mm-hmm. This is a good one.
I know I like Star Trek more than Star Wars, but I know more about Star Wars than I do about Star Trek. Mm-hmm. It's funny, I know. However, I know that movie so well, and I remember that every single time where he says, Obi-Wan did not tell you about your father. He says, he told me enough. He said, you killed him.
He told me you killed him.
Yeah, he goes, no, I am your father.
Yep. It's never Luke, I am your father.
And a bunch of people swear to God. He says, Luke, I am your father. I don't remember him ever saying Luke. The only time I remember saying Luke was when we were kids to emphasize what we were talking about and what we were referencing.
Well, you know what? It might have been. You got to remember, there's been so many spoofs on that particular scene as well, that it could have been said in a spoof. And at the same time, if it's said in a spoof and we heard it in a spoof or a Saturday Night Live skit, it very well, it's still legit to remember it that way. But you can't remember it from Star Wars itself. You got to remember it from the original, where it came from.
Yeah, because there's several skits where someone will do, like, I think with Saturday Night Live or like some other comedy shows where somebody will go, "No, Steven, I am your father."
Yeah.
And so we start to associate that with, oh, he must have said, Luke, I am your father in the movie. I remember because he would say his child's name. Yeah. Well, I guarantee you he didn't, because I remember him never saying it. But
no, he said it about just actually almost verbatim like you said it.
Yep. However, one that I remember was when I read about it going, wait a minute, what do you mean? What's his name? Tom Cruise in Risky Business did not wear his sunglasses when he did that scene with him sliding in to, what was that movie? Old Time Rock and Roll. I remember him sliding out. He didn't have sunglasses on. He gets to his living room, picks up the sunglasses, throws them on, starts singing, does his little, hey, look at my balls, my ass, my tidy whities.
Look,
and he jumps up and he's got his sunglasses on, because that was like one of the big things of the movie in Risky Business. But he never puts on his sunglasses in that entire scene. I remember I even asked my wife, she goes, yeah, he comes sliding out and he throws his sunglasses on and starts singing. Even Cuteness remembers it like that. Yeah. She goes, I've never seen the movie, but I know that scene because I remember, seeing pieces of it on YouTube and seeing clips of it on when they would show it on TV. She goes, yeah, he had sunglasses.
So this begs the question. He does it. This begs the question: how many of our own memories of childhood are 100% correct?
Right. See, that's the other thing, because there are times where I will to this day, my parents swear to God this never happened. And I know for a fact it did, because even my brother, P-Rock, goes, I kind of remember that. One of our cats, long time ago, so before we got our pit bull Sox, who was the most loving dog ever next to my puppy boy Archie here, somehow, because cats like to go someplace that's warm and comfortable, and it had gone up underneath the engine block in one of my dad's old trucks, and we were driving down the road, and it killed the cat. Now, this is not an uncommon occurrence, believe it or not. If you look it up, this is something that happens quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, they do it for heat.
Yeah, they do it for heat and everything like that. The car almost shuts down. My dad goes up there, he's like, oh, crap, the cat's in there, and he has to throw it away. So me and my brother are really sad, and we're freaking out a little bit because our cat's dead. My parents swear to God that never happened.
How is that a
And
memory
we never
you
had
make
that
up?
cat. Right.
How's that a memory you make up? Like what?
They swear that I had never had a cat before we got the dog. They said, and that cat never got into the cat we did have. And I'm like, no, that was our second cat. We got that cat after Socks. Swear to God, no, we never had another cat.
What else is interesting is that at 20 seconds after you see something, your memories of it fade.
Yeah, you're already starting to screw with it.
So yeah, and then I mean, think about a childhood experience, okay, and focus on that child experience. Think about like a color of something, like what maybe you were wearing that day, or maybe what a friend was wearing that day, or you know, maybe you were playing baseball. What the bat look like? Try and remember some actual facts. You can't because it's just not there. That some of that memory is already, long gone. I mean, if memories start to fade after 20 seconds, imagine what 20 years is like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a teacher who had a bunch of people to write everything that they could remember for where they were and what they had been doing when the Challenger exploded. This was on the end during their graduation. Their freshman year, they were told to write down everything that they're remembering that day and wrote everything down. Then at their graduation, I think they were, I don't remember they weren't psych majors, they weren't philosophy, I think they were engineer students or something. And they were told during their graduation, write everything down. Where were you? Who were you talking to? When did you hear about it? Who was there? Everything. And their papers, most of them were not even close. Some of them even insisted someone forged their handwriting and gave them a false paper of their freshman year. Now, I'm not saying this is the explanations for everything, because there are some weird things that I can attribute to. Like some people saying they remember Fruit Loops being spelled Fruit.
I don't remember that. It was OOT.
OOT. Yep. Because they were always careful because, one, it's not real fruit.
Yeah.
And two, it was always FROOT, and then the loops had the two cereal pieces. Now they're all cereal pieces to highlight the colors. I don't remember if they were always, but I know it was always FROOT.
Yeah, it's as far as I can remember.
Yeah. Another one that I thought was interesting was, and here's one that kind of hits close to home for me. Everyone keeps talking about the Whiskas cat food. I don't remember Whiskas. I always went out and bought Whiskeys, WISKEES, and the commercials was always Whiskeys makes frisky kitties. That brand doesn't exist. Neither do those commercials. It's Whiskas.
Whiskas make frisky kitties. That makes no damn sense.
But that's just it. That slogan doesn't even exist.
Where the fuck? How do you make that up?
Right, and it was the only thing my cat would eat. That's why I got that brand. I had to get Whiskeys.
That got killed?
Yeah.
This is getting scary.
And some people remember it as Whiskers.
Yeah.
Some people remember it as Whisk _RS. I remember Whiskeys because Whiskeys makes frisky kitties. Nobody remembers it. My wife remembers it.
I don't remember the brand whatsoever. I just...
That's what I'm saying. What?
Whiskeys.
Where did it go?
It sounds like a good thing to... I'd eat it because it sounds like a booze.
Where did it go? Different Strokes. Did you know Different Strokes is not spelled DIFFERENT?
Yeah, it's spelled a little different, isn't it?
It's spelled with an apostrophe without the E.
Different.
And I remember it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what the hell? Just like people are like, wait a minute. What happened to Jiffy peanut butter?
Jiffy's still out there.
No, it's not. It's always Jif.
Oh, shit.
No such thing as Jiffy. But I remember. Here's the thing.
No, I'm looking that up.
Yeah, okay, do it. Because I remember the commercials.
I remember Jiffy.
Yes, because the slogan was, we make sandwiches in a jiffy.
Okay, it found it, but it's
My
Jif.
wife's shaking her head no. It's Jif. I thought I remember when it happened to me. We were in the grocery store and I was with my grandmother. Okay, here's another, I've got another fucked up one for you.
All I see is Jif. There's no Jiffy.
Yes, I thought they rebranded it.
I think they did. I think they did. Because I remember Jiffy.
Never been a Jiffy according to everything.
Jiffy.
I remember Jiffy.
butter.
See, my wife's kind of going,
Oh.
no.
Old Jiffy. Use Jiffs. But I remember Jiffy. I remember Jiffy as a kid.
Yes. Oh, here's another one.
It doesn't
Apparently,
exist.
the Bible does not say the lion will lie with the lamb. It says the wolf will lie with the lamb. I know because it was written on all of our daycares for Sunday school. When I see it now, all of those now say wolf with the lamb. I don't know what happened. Here's another freaky one. My grandmother has always said McDonald. I remember seeing McDonald's and wondering why people were pronouncing it McDonald's, because I even told my friends one day in school, isn't it funny that it's McDonald's but everyone calls it McDonald's? And now I only ever see McDonald's, and I went, oh, maybe because everyone was calling it McDonald's because they have a Big Mac, they just made it McDonald's. But I remember it McDonald's. So
I've
what
heard it called
happened?
I've heard
Like
it called
with
that.
Jiffy.
Jiffy's
Now, I
a
remember
good
Jiffy
example.
Pop, and I always remember thinking, oh, it must be the same people.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what it is though. It's Jiff
Kind
and
of blending
Jiffy.
two things.
Yeah, you're kind of blending two memories together. Because I can, in my head, I can even see the stupid logo.
Yes.
But that's exactly what we're talking about. That's the Mandela effect. That's a false memory.
Right. So
what some
why
say
do
is
so
a
many
false
people
memory.
remember it?
Exactly. But
Like people swear Nelson Mandela died in a prison cell decades before he actually died. And there's actually people who remember Gaddafi hiding out in a safe house and wondering how are people going to get to him, and then he was killed with a missile strike. Gaddafi wasn't killed in a missile strike. He was literally stabbed in the ass repeatedly, which is where the
Sephiroth.
yeah, well, kinda. And that's where the whole joke back in 2011 happened, where people would run up to each other and punch each other in the fucking taint and scream Gaddafi. But some people swear he died back in 2003 or 2008, and it was a missile strike, or his car was lit on fire while he was still in it. I remember him being stabbed in 2011.
Wow, yeah. I don't remember that, but it's possibly because I'm about 5 drinks into whiskey, and
Yeah.
I'm a little drunk this podcast.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
But yeah, I mean, there's several like that. There's the whole "We Are the Champion" song.
What's
it
that
never
one?
says. Well, at the end of the song, it starts going, "We are the champions," and people swear that he says "of the world," and then the song ends. I don't remember that. Now
Yeah, he does. He says, "We are the champions."
Okay, he does at the second to last chorus, but the very end of the song,
But the song doesn't.
he
end.
says, "We are the champions," and the
Yeah.
song fades.
Yeah.
I always thought it was an odd ending to a song, and then it would go into another song, and so like usually "We Will Rock You,"
Yeah.
stuff like that, and but yeah, people swear to this day that the song ends with him saying "of the world" in a big bravado, and then it quiets down. I've never heard that. I've had the
There might be a
tapes.
different version of it out there somewhere.
That's the theory.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like a, like I could swear that I've heard La Florian in several versions of the Legend soundtrack,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd watch it again and I'd hear, "Love by the Sun."
Oh yes.
But there's a reason for that. There's actually a legit reason for that, and we've talked about that, and that's a whole other podcast altogether when we talk about Legend and all those movies. But it just fucks with your memory, and it's stuff like that does that. It'll trigger stuff like the Mandela effect, and
yeah.
it's just crazy. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's really interesting, especially with how your mind screws with you, and is it the mind? Now, real quick here, we'll talk about the one that is very close to me, Wyld, and Maximus here. So, as many of you know, we used to make animation. Well, not necessarily animation, but movies.
Goofy movies.
Goofy movies.
Think
Yeah.
Robot Chicken before Robot Chicken existed.
Yeah, and it wasn't real stop motion. You can see our hands. The whole joke was it's the magic hand and stuff
Yes.
like that. And so, as a joke, Maximus, for the quote-unquote Ninja Clan leader, after everybody would introduce themselves, he would go, "I am Shazam!" Because he had just gotten done seeing the movie Shazam starring Shaquille O'Neal. Now, this is a multiple layer thing, and I'll get to the whole other Shazam thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is reading to us directly. I'm reading up some stuff, so I messaged Wyld. I say, Wyld, do you remember what Maximus used to scream with the Ninja Clan. He goes, yeah, Shazam. I said, do you remember why he said that? He goes, I think it was a reference to something. I said, yeah, it was a movie.
I said, I'm not sure. And you said, was it a reference? I was like, yeah, it probably was a reference. And I was like, yeah, it hit me. Yeah, it's a reference to the movie.
Yeah, and I go, what movie? He goes, the one with that came with what's his name that came out after the one with the Looney Tunes. I said, okay, that movie doesn't exist. He goes, yes, it does. That's why Max says it. And he contacts Max, and Max goes, yeah, it's the movie with Shazam, or with Shaquille O'Neal, Shazam, when he was a genie.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is called Kazam. That's not right. It was Shazam.
Yeah, but Max would also call a canyon a canyon.
Okay, but I remember the movie Shazam.
Yes.
Now, this is where it gets a little weirder. People insist there was a secondary genie movie starring none other than Sinbad the comic named Shazam, in which he started genie. Sinbad is okay, yeah, and Sinbad is absolutely adamant he has never done that movie. There is no evidence a movie named Shazam ever exists, and the only thing I can get up with Shazam is references to the Mandela effect.
Well,
and
there's an old cartoon,
Captain Marvel, who would yell Shazam, and he would change.
There's an old cartoon that went with it too, where the Shazam was actually a genie.
Oh yeah, Shazam was a cartoon
back in the day, but you're right. Captain Marvel, was it Captain Marvel that would say Shazam and he would change into whatever?
Yeah. So there is a movie coming out named Shazam, but it has nothing to do with the original Mandela.
There was an old Hanna-Barbera type cartoon back in the day that had like a Shazam genie kind of cartoon. So maybe that might be playing with our memories too. But go on with what you were saying. Yeah,
to be fair, Sinbad has always looked kind of like a genie.
Oh God, yes.
He was like MC Hammer but in reverse, where he had the poofy shirt and the tighter pants.
Mm-hmm.
Sinbad, I love you. I actually think you are funny.
Oh, he's hilarious.
But, dude, totally 90s. Yeah, but the movie's called Kazam.
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. That movie was Shazam. Because I remember him and people making jokes about it where people would be impersonating Shaquille O'Neal going, you know who I am? That's right. I'm Shazam.
Oh.
You get wishes. Shazam.
Shazam, yeah.
But apparently it's Kazam. But that doesn't make it. I could have even sworn, and this is what's driving me crazy. What's his name? Nostalgia Critic.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a video about him doing how terrible the movie Shazam is. When I looked it back up, it says Kazam. I even remember him laughing, going, I'm surprised he's not turning into Captain Marvel right now. But he doesn't even. But that reference isn't even in his video now.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know, dude. It's just strange. It's fucking strange. Yeah, I don't see anything on here.
I made the reference to whiskeys on Reddit in one of the Mandela effects because people are saying Whiskas cat food. I can't find it. It's Whiskas. And everyone's like, Whiskas. And I said, it's not Whiskeys. I said, I used to buy it for my cat. And other people have said, yes, I remember Whiskeys. And I used to buy it for my cat. There's nothing on the internet. I said, yes, the catchphrase. And there's people saying it was Whiskeys makes frisky kitties. It's not just me. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's what makes it the Mandela effect, because not just one person remembers it that way.
Several people do. And it's not always, a lot of people. I mean, sometimes it is.
Think hard about it. Do you remember the Berenstain Bears? Or the Berenstain
No, I remember. I always remember Berenstain.
Yeah. Do you remember? Which one do you remember? I mean, do you remember to the point where even the spelling was different?
No, I always remember it Stain.
I remember it I remember the spelling being Berenstain, and I remember
a lot of people do.
But that is the Mandela effect.
Yeah. That's another one is mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? She never says that. I've always remembered it, magic mirror on the wall, tell me who's the fairest of us all. And that's actually what, when you look it up, she says. Mm-hmm. But everyone remembers it, mirror, mirror.
See, that could also be a changing how it is like for Disney, or another version of, because that particular story is so different in different conditions.
Yeah, like you're saying, through the ages with the books and the rewrites and stuff like that, the book does say either looking glass, and then the appropriate rhyme, or mirror, mirror.
Mm-hmm.
The official written version does say mirror, mirror.
Yeah, so and that's where it gets kind of wonky and weird.
And the other thing is, we were talking about with like the risky business and him singing with the sunglasses on. Alf did a parody of that. The TV show Alf, and he was wearing sunglasses the entire time.
I remember that. But that might be where we get that from.
Yes, and the sunglasses were so prolific through that entire movie. There is a good chance most of us just remember there always being sunglasses, and we put it in that scene.
See that, but that's how the human memory is. It's so fragile that if someone mimics something to the point where it's almost exactly the same, but one speck different, you're going to remember that speck with the original memory. So, like, good example, I say, what does a jack do when a jack does jack? And then Sunrise says something and says the same thing, but adds something to it.
Yeah. Well, like I might say, what does a jack do when a jack's not caught doing jack?
See,
I changed it a little bit, but I where did I change it?
And, 30 minutes from now, are you going to remember how I said it or how he said it?
Right. And all of a sudden, it might at some point become jacks don't do jack.
Yeah.
But that's not what we said. What does a jack do when a jack does jack?
Yeah.
And I said, what does a jack do when he doesn't do jack?
Silly, slutty Sally likes to slurp on silly dicks.
Oh, that's just silly.
The human memory is a really fragile and interesting thing. We have a very small focus, that we can only take in so much at a time, which is funny, which is like maybe 2 or 3 things out of whatever, how many things we see at a time, which is very interesting. And I like I said, I had watched Brain Games, and it taught me lots, guys. It's just very interesting that you can do that. I mean, like I said, can you trust your childhood memories?
Yeah, like I remember Thomas the Train. It's Thomas the Tank Engine.
See, I remember Thomas the Train too. I don't remember Tank Engine. What? Where the
Which
fuck
one
is
do you
that
remember,
coming?
Cuteness?
Thomas the Train.
Yes! See, Cuteness? And she just come out and she goes, what? I go, well, what do you remember? She says, Thomas the Train.
Is there anything that you guys remember as listeners that maybe we have missed? I mean, there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of interesting, crazy memories that could be jumbled up. Now, let's get into the conspiracy theories. I'm using
yes.
The conspiracy theories on this.
Okay, so there's a couple of conspiracy theories, and some of them are just so whacked out that we have to talk about them because it's like, what? One of them is dun dun dun. If you remember this, you are one of the lucky few because they will wipe your memory, and if you don't remember, psyops, psychic operatives.
So the fact that I remember Berenstain Bears is a
global cover-up in hypnosis.
Geez, I wonder how that helps anything. how that changes Okay, so Berenstain Bears. If I remember that just opens up like the meaning of life.
Yes. See, knowing the truth will suck everyone to another dimension, which is another theory that I'm going to get to. But you cannot be that woke. See, there are psychic operatives in the government, the same people who can't run a place that sells whiskey and women at the same fucking place, are managing to have high-level psychic beings that are hypnotizing people and causing memory wipes and making them believe what they want to believe.
I blame television.
Okay, now that is another theory though, is that actually through the red, blue, the color scheme that are on there and the waves that make up, that it is actually hypnotizing. I have never seen something on TV and gone, oh my God, I need to buy that and chopped off my own dick to get it.
Except
so I don't
Pepsi.
think that's true.
I think that's the only thing that I.
Okay,
need.
now I've chopped someone else's dick off for a Pepsi.
I was like, the Pepsi commercial's on, it's like, and you see Michael Jackson burning to death. Hee hee! And I'm like,
yeah.
I gotta have a Pepsi.
Speaking of,
Oh,
it's a
beautiful.
taste of a new generation.
Oh God.
It varies person to person.
Actually, it's the old generation, but it's a new soda. So there you go.
Yes. So they're going around and they are basically manipulating and controlling people and altering reality and making things difficult for people to know what is and what isn't reality.
Then so what are some of these other conspiracy theories out there?
Well, the other one is very much like the TV 1990 show Sliders. We are slipping between dimensions without knowing it, either in our sleep or walking around. Like if you're walking around, you get a little dizzy or something like that. You've now slipped into a new dimension where something is a little different.
You get a headache and bling.
Yeah.
You're in the Matrix.
Yep. Yeah. Glitches in the Matrix, basically, which is another theory that we will get to here in just a moment. All these people who remember Berenstain are from a separate dimension.
Dimension A.
Yeah, Dimension A. And I'll call my dimension Dimension 1.
Yeah, that works.
So, and there's, trust
makes
me.
just as much sense as the fucking, like, the story, the basic thing we're telling about it. Anyway.
Yes. And remember, if you ever run into your doppelganger, perfectly symmetrical violence has never solved anything, according to Futurama.
Don't touch him.
Yeah.
According to Futurama.
Oh, yeah, that too. Without knowing it, you are somehow slipping in and out of dimensions. And there's a bunch of different theories from the government, again, who can't even keep a power grid on in freaking the old town that we used to live in. You actually still do during the summertime, or even where I am when people turn on their AC, oh my God, power's going out, are somehow pulling people to and from different dimensions. Much like the episode of Star Trek where Worf flew the shuttlecraft and ended up sliding between different dimensions, and he was the only one that had memories of the actual dimension that he was in.
Good episode.
That was a good episode. So that's like Mandela effect in one sense of the way.
Yeah.
Worf is an admiral in one, then he's not a weapons officer in another one, and then he's married to Diana in another one, and stuff like that. Yeah. Really cool. Picard was dead, then Picard was just an ensign, all kinds of stuff. That's kind of like the Mandela effect, where you are from one dimension and somehow you get shifted into a new one. So imagine it like this. You go into McDonald's. McDonald's number one, I don't know what it actually is, so bear with me. I'm making this up, and if I'm right, okay, cool. Let's say the number one at McDonald's is a quarter pounder with cheese. And every day you go in there and order a quarter pounder with cheese, a number one. And every day is the same price. It's the same thing. Everything's the same. Quarter pound with cheese, number one, medium. It's $5. Then all of a sudden you go in and you say, give me my usual, my number one. And the guy looks at you and goes, okay, that'll be $6.25. What do you mean it's $6.25? Oh, well, that's this meal instead. That's our chicken sandwich one. No, I get the number one. No, you always get the number four, the quarter pounders, $5. That's what it's like. Somehow you went from always ordering a number one every single day, and then you check your pockets, and sure enough, you had ordered a number one, but now it's a number four. Yep. So you just assume, they must have restructured their things. But everyone tells you it's always been like that. And then you check your receipt again, and your receipts say you've ordered a number four.
But you remember it being a number
one. Always done a number one. That's how I am with the whiskeys, and that's how I am with Shazam.
And Berenstain Bears.
Yeah, and Berenstain.
Fucking assholes.
And Thomas the Train. So the theory is, you walked into another dimension. Somehow, some way, and a bunch of other people came with you.
Or you were put here, and so other people were put here. As well.
Yeah.
Maybe this. I'm gonna make my own fucking theory up here. Ready? You ready for this?
Ready.
Maybe we're from a dying dimension.
Oh, and they're trying to find permanent homes for people.
Trying to put permanent homes for people. Now, it's so much like the dimension we're in now that we don't even know that we stepped through.
Mm-hmm.
It can be you can call it a government conspiracy, and call it a government cover up, whatever, in dimension A. Maybe they're putting us through here because that dimension's dying, and to save humanity in that dimension, they got to put people in dimension one. So
see, there's your hook. There's your hook, dude. See, what it is you've got an awesome running government in a dying world, and here you have an awesome world in a dying government.
Oh, damn it.
So like, fuck it, the better of the two.
Damn it. I didn't even think like
And that's
that.
not political.
Funny.
I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. That's funny.
That's, yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is my hook.
Yeah.
But that
There's your hook.
would be a match. I mean, it's such small little differences. So like Berenstain, you're like, oh, Berenstain Bears. No, they're Berenstain. No, they're Berenstain. No, and then you get that fucking, and then like, oh, look at the book. It says Berenstain. Fuck you. It shouldn't say Berenstain. You know, yeah, I don't know. That's just a thought. It's an interesting theory, and we can go up and make shit up all we want. The truth is it's just your mind not remembering certain details.
Wait, the other one is we actually all live in a simulation that
Like
the
the
universe,
Matrix.
yes, and everything is running basically on a giant holodeck that we don't perceive and can't perceive, which is why so many people remember the same thing but wrong compared to other people.
All right.
Because the programming is getting corrupt. And so now errors are cropping up. Just like, okay, here's a very interesting thing. My wife says it's never been sex in the city. It's always been sex and the city. I remember sex in the city.
I remember Sex in the City.
Yes, and there is merchandise that says Sex in the City with the logo on it. But here's the thing. There are, with the actual logos and everything else, merchandise that says Sex in the City.
It says and the city. It should not say and the city.
She says and, I say in.
Potato.
On the Family Guy, yeah, and on the Family Guy episode, Brian even mentions watching Sex in the City with somebody.
Makes no fucking sense to me.
Right. Here's my theory. A lot of people, without even realizing it, have certain sensitivities to different things. And there's certain people who are really in tune who can actually find certain frequencies of energy. I have, I guess, ESP or something, I guess what you call, I don't know what else you call it, where somebody picks up a card and stares at it and concentrates on it, comes back, and a bunch of cards are laying out on the table and we're told to choose it. And I have chosen the right ones every time. It actually freaked out an entire class one time where they literally thought me and the teacher set them up.
Huh.
Because he did not pull that card out of his bag, and it was the only one that wasn't on the table, and it was the one that she had chosen. Maybe, just maybe, we're pulling from some kind of record where somebody is remembering something wrong. That information is out there, and wherever it goes, and we're connecting to the wrong information, like a website, like a browser going to the wrong website. Yeah, I mean, think about like cellular memory. Why do kids now able to pick up a cell phone at 5 years old and look at it, move the screen, and make a phone call?
Mm-hmm.
When older people can't do that? Where's that knowledge coming from? I think Akira got it really, really close and interesting when they were talking about, with that, when she was talking to Kaneda. Kyrie was talking to Kaneda, and she says, as time went on, people went from making a wheel to an automobile to rockets. Where does that information come from? Mm-hmm. There has to be some kind of information passed on from generation to generation to make it easier and easier to understand. And that's an interesting theory, because there's been times where people say, oh yeah, I never had any rhythm, and I got this liver transplant from a donor, and all of a sudden, I played the drums. I've never played the drums, but I can keep perfect beat and I can play the drums. And they find out that person was a drummer in a band.
Idle Hands. Idle Hands is basically this dude jerks off quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it had Seth Green in it.
Yes, because they made the joke about it on Robot Chicken, Idle Nuts.
Mm-hmm. Tell you, I don't know, but I just remember his hand. That's why it's called Idle Hands. He was too busy jerking off all the time, so his hand got possessed by a demon. It was a good movie, and then I said it to myself like that. Now it just sounds fucking ridiculous.
Well, it should.
Oh.
I mean, so that's not Mandela effect.
It is. It is. Maybe it is. In another world, it doesn't star Seth Green. It stars Satan.
Satan.
and his hand's really possessed by like Seth Green.
Yeah.
It's
He,
just-
he doesn't. It's not serial killer. It's Seth Green. He goes on to star in mediocre roles and lands and lands at children's network, adult programming, and becomes a billionaire.
Yep.
And then
Asshole.
everybody who makes fun of him realizes that they're just not as good as he is. Bravo,
Oh,
Seth Green.
I'm
I have
sorry.
to. Oh, good for you.
I think we're about done.
Yeah. So let's hear about your own Mandela effects and everything that happened. And oh, wait a minute. That's right. Was there actually something different about the opening? Now, I don't know. This podcast is Nerds Are So Sexy, right?
It's not.
No. You're right. It's Nerd is the new sexy. And everyone who guessed or went back and cheated knows we actually do have Nerd is the new sexy. With cuteness doing the voice that is my wife, and I had to re-record it saying nerds are so sexy or something similar. Again, not Mandela effect. This is I don't remember exactly what she said, but you'd hear it at the very beginning of this. And yes, that was changed on purpose.
Yep. We'll end it at that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. So before we go, we want to wish you a very safe and happy New Year's. Everyone, you need to stay safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Stay sexy, everybody.
Stay sexy. I think I need an adult.